This podcast has mature language, not intended for underage viewers.
Street Cred Sports. Street Cred Sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. How y'all doing out there? I believe this is episode 30. I have to apologize because I'm so busy during the week now that I had to sneak and do an episode here at the facility. So I don't have my normal information and notes and stuff. I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do my normal take. So if you do hear some background noises, that's somebody in there doing the training. Look, I hope everybody's doing well. This is going to be a quicker episode today. I won't be doing any bonus content today simply because, again, I don't have my normal notes. But I wanted to keep the flow, with getting everything in. I hope everybody had a great Father's Day. I know mine was spectacular as always. Some people want, like lavish gifts, big bashes and stuff. But, for me as a father, with one, biological child and two step kids that are my biological children, just to see that they're doing well, be able to look at them, I see them on a regular basis, but seeing them there, the gifts or what have you is great, but just having them there with me, all the time, but especially on Father's Day, I guess it takes, it has more of a shine to it, and you don't think about it when you're younger, when you have parents. But when you're the parent, it does tend to be a little bit different because of the fact that you're now the person that's looking down on the accomplishments, the things that you've helped raise. So that was really special to me, and I thank them and as far as being there and stuff. But as they get older and they have their own kids and their family, they'll understand. You'll understand when you're a parent, when you feel like you've done a good job and you see your kids raised and they're productive. They're not out doing anything bad. So, well, as far as I know, if they are doing bad, I might need to get it back on my parent tip and start investigating. But no, my kids are great. They are great. I believe my wife and I raised 3 excellent kids, especially with the different obstacles they had to go through. So, but if y'all had if you're a father, you had a great Father's Day, and then if you're not actually a father, but you've mentored somebody, you've helped somebody, whether it was a nephew or a niece, you might be a father figure that they're looking up to. So, hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Let me get to things that have been on my mind. Okay, so as you're listening, I got my phone on, so I might hear beeps and stuff, people calling, texting and stuff like that. But let me get into the things that interest me. First of all, I want to talk about something I heard on the different sports talk radios. They talked about the death of a traditional point guard. Now, what does that mean, and why is that something I'm bringing up? Well, when there was an NBA trade recently, Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns from the Wizards. So you pairing Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. And the question was, well, some people are like, well, you don't need a point guard because Devin Booker can run the point. Kevin Durant can run the point. Bradley Beal can run the point, so they run the point by committee. And yeah, I get that. They could get the ball up and get their offense started. Yeah, but unfortunately, the person who was making this comment has never played the position, has never played a point guard or thought as a point guard. You need a point guard. In my humble opinion, you need a point guard because you need somebody to be able to recognize who has mismatches, and who you go through. You got to be able to tell guys no sometimes. So if Kevin Durant is killing and Devin Booker wants to get into action. No, Devin, unless we're giving you a wide open shot. No, you don't cook. We're not going to do this your time, my time stuff, because it doesn't work that way. You have to have an offensive flow to get your time and my time. Maybe you're running it through offense, but as a point guard, you need to be able to wave somebody off, settle them down. To me, that's what Boston is missing. Boston doesn't have a guy that can settle Tatum down and Jaylen Brown down and get them the shot they need. And it was evident in the playoffs. So, yeah, it's not a traditional point guard now to where they just, they run the plays. Maybe they knock over an open shot. Now point guards need to be able to shoot and score. But you still have to have the mentality of pass first, in a sense to where if you got a guy that's hot, you need to be able to get him that ball. You need to be able to slow the offense down if you have taken a few bad shots and settle them in and get a good shot. That's what point guards are. They're the quarterbacks of the team. So I get the whole you don't necessarily need a point guard, but now if you don't have a point guard, you need somebody that's going to settle them down and say, we're running this set and we're going to get this person the ball 3 or 4 trips down because, he or she has the mismatch that's necessary to be able to score an easy basket. And that's what you want, is an easy basket. You don't want to always have to work and take those tough shots. Even if you're making them, you want easy baskets. So I disagree with that. And it's evident, look, Jamal Murray and Jokic are point guards in mine. The way they see the floor, they spread out, they get the ball where they need to. Jamal can pass. So he's not just a shooter. He can pass. Steph can pass. He can settle it down. Now, obviously, Steph is looking more for his shot, yes, but he can pass. So you want to be able to have somebody that can shoot and knock down shots when needed, but ultimately can run the team. Boston gets somebody like, I'm going to throw Chris Paul's name. I know, he's older, but somebody with that mindset to where, no, I'm going to get Jason Tatum the ball. I'm going to get Jaylen Brown the ball. Y'all, we're going to get you the ball where you don't really have to work for your shot. It's going to come natural. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And we'll see. I think, as things are heating up, there's some real interesting trades and stuff. I believe one of the alerts I got prior to coming on was Malcolm Brogdon going to Phoenix. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it's a lot of stuff going on. So stay tuned. Got the draft coming up on this Thursday. I can't wait to see who gets drafted and where, and if everything shifts. The funny thing I will say about whenever a team wins an NBA championship, it's now everybody has to change what they're doing just to compete with that team. Now, usually if you've won 2 championships, that's when you realize that they have a certain formula and you need to switch your formula. I don't think all the other teams need to panic and say, we don't have a joker, so we got to switch things around. We can't deal with this and that. Look, nobody was giving Denver credit. It's not like Denver is a dynasty, although people are saying they're the new dynasty. You got to win a couple to be the dynasty, right? And obviously if you win, free agent season and draft and stuff hadn't started, so obviously they should be favorites to win. But again, as I stated the last time, they beat who they were supposed to beat. That was evident. But, if you look at it, they didn't play any 1s, 2s, or even 3s in the playoffs, the whole run. So they had a little resistance and they did what they needed to do. So next year we'll see if they win again and it's in dominant fashion again, then, I think teams need to look at, hey, we need to do this to change to be able to compete with them. But for now, I think, like Milwaukee has all of the tools I think necessary. Boston, if they get out of their own way. I think Golden State, I don't know what moves they're going to make, but they're a team that always gave Denver problems, as well as the Clippers. So we'll see. I can't wait to see who goes where and how the new season goes. All right, so right now I want to talk about I get a lot of information, as most of you know. I tend to know things before other people know, and it's not because I'm a reporter. I'm not out there, but I get phone calls. I have conversations with people, and I hear and find out things. Not necessarily fishing. Hey, like what you got? What you know? No, dude talking. Hey, did you hear about this? Did you know about that? And it's fascinating to see all of the stuff that goes on out there. One situation that I was, actually talked to about it's weird. It was like 2 or 3 different people, 2 or 3 different organizations had the same issue. And it made me wonder, what we need to do to be better. So, one team has a kid. They had a kid, and that kid decided to play with another team, and they went to play with another team. I guess the team invited that player out to go for a tournament or something like that, or they were asking if that kid could play. And look, this happens a lot. This happens a lot in city and club ball. Kids switching teams asking kids, can they play with them? I think it should be, some kind of process. Because here's the thing. If you're playing in college, high school, pros, you just can't leave your team and go play with another team. There's a process. If I'm just going to use 2 schools for the example. If you're playing at Socorro, and this is a school here in El Paso, if you're playing at Socorro, you decide somebody from Isleta asks you to come play with them, you just can't come play with them. You know what I'm saying? It's not that easy. So it's one of those things to where you got to go through the process. That doesn't happen. You can't play with Duke for 3 or 5 games and then all of a sudden find out North Carolina's going on a tournament and they want you to play with them. That's not how it works. So I think it should be kind of the same way when it comes to city league and club. That's the only place this happens. I feel like if a coach wants you to play with their team and you're already committed to a team, then that coach should reach out to the coach for the other team and just say, look, hey, we're playing out here. You guys aren't playing. If you're not doing anything, would you mind if we, if such and such ran with us for this tournament? Now look, it's not like you got to ask for permission because, they got some kind of loan contract on you, and ultimately the parent can make the decision they want. It's really more common courtesy and professional, because what if all of a sudden that coach decides to just go pick up other players, and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna go to this tournament, we're gonna have this player come play with us, or we know that you're going to be playing with that person, so now we got this person, and now that person is going to take over. That you're going to feel like that they're not loyal to you. Well, but you're not loyal to them. And I'm not saying you have to be loyal. You should, if you're playing with a team, you should play with that team for the duration of the season. Unless there's some really bad situation, you should play with that team for the season and not move around. It's wrong moving from team to team to team every year. It's weird. It's really weird. So I think coaches, the system I would put down, I would think coaches should I think coaches should be the ones to reach out. If I want a player, I should reach out to that coach and just ask. Now, that coach might take it a certain type of way, and I get that, but you should be able to at least tell them, like, hey, look, if you guys aren't playing in anywhere, or if you're not playing this tournament and they want to play, do you mind if they run with us? Now, if you're doing it for devious reasons, however, you're trying to get that player to play with you for this tournament, and then you're going to use that to try to woo them, that's wrong. That's wrong. Obviously, you're trying to prey on somebody. Maybe that player at that team, on that current team, maybe they're not feeling, like they're respected enough. They're not getting as much movement, But then you turn around and you leave. Then you can end up. I knew a team. This was years ago. that approached the kid. It's like, I think you're really great. We'd love to have you on our team. And the kid was like enamored. The kid and the parent was enamored, and I knew that this team and this coach had a history of poaching players. And I said, I get it. I said, but you need to be careful, because this is what that coach does. This coach pulls the best players, which is fine, but the coach is always recruiting, right? And sure enough, about 2 or 3 weeks after that kid started playing, the parent was complaining, like, this coach is bringing in all these players, and now my kid's not playing as much. And it was like, well, I tried to tell you, some coaches are like that. They're just going to, it's like wherever the wind blows. Some are trying to construct a team, and they want to stay with the team. And most of the really, really good competitive teams are like that. They stay with what they have. And if a person is approaching you wanting to play for your team or in a tournament, that's fine. But I think you should be able to talk to that coach and not try to poach players, because it's a lot of that going on here. It's a lot of that going on in other parts of the country. Believe that. I see it on Twitter. I see it on Instagram. Well, not really as much Instagram, but Twitter and Facebook. It's always a conversation about how people are, this team always running around trying to pick up players instead of coaching their players. You need to coach your own players and stop trying to take other players, other teams' players. So it's a mess, and it does need to be a system. I wish there was some type of governing body, but there's so many different leagues now that a team could play in 4 different leagues with 3 or 4 different teams, and it's like they're all over the place. But I tell you what, it catches up with you, because in high school, if you can't do what you're supposed to do, or if you're not good enough to do what you're doing, you can't leave and go to a school just as easy. You can try, but they 365 you. And if you were playing varsity, you won't be able to play. You're going to miss a season. So, get used to competing. All right. So I get it. I do get it. I have parents that say, hey, this my such asked my kid to play with him in this tournament. What do you think? And then I'll explain to him what I think. But then at the same time, it's like, you need to reach out to the team that you're playing with, because you're investing in them just like they're investing in you. So that's all I feel. That's all I wanted to talk about when it came to things on my mind. Let me know what you think. Hit me with your thoughts. Okay, so real quick, my basketball training ideology. Forgive me, I don't have a basketball term this week, but I will definitely have 1 or 2 next week. But what I want to talk about is drills that we apply and we work on in training. There's never any type of system, I guess. I guess you could say it's a system. It's a process. It's concepts with what we do and how we do it. But what I'm getting at is I try not to allow, drills that don't apply to games. Like, I try not to do, unless it's a reasoning. Now, if I'm working on body control, ball control, I might do, a dribble up the court, you stop, you do an 8 dribble combination, and then you keep going, right? But we know that you're not going to be doing an 8 dribble combination in one spot, So for me, I really only try to do drills that apply to games. Those are the ones that I like to apply. Game situation, not game. Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, if a kid is like, hey, well, when I catch the ball, they're closing out, and I kind of freeze up. So we want to do drills within the confines of helping them to get better with that concept, with somebody closing out, giving them different avenues to expose the closeout person and attack them. So, it could be just a simple catch, pump fake, drive by them to lay up, And then we'll add layers where it's okay, you're going to catch it, pump fake. Maybe they don't commit fully to that pump fake, so they're not flying at you, but they close out. So maybe we take a dribble to the right, like a hesitation, and then we cross back to the middle and attack to our left. It just depends on the situation. But I always like to apply drills that are game ready. So when the kids are in the game, they're going to have a good sense. If I do a 2-ball dribble, if I do only 2-ball ball handling, and I do things where they're just you can't find a simple game where this stuff was actually done. It's going to be hard to translate. The sensory things where it's a basketball and a tennis ball, those are great. Those are great for what they're using. But I think some people are a little bit more outrageous with them, with what they're doing, and it's overusing them. There's a time, you can do a 2-ball dribble at the beginning or at the end just to kind of mix a little bit things up, have them dribbling with both hands so they're not focusing on one, right? But you're not going to have a 2-ball dribble, in the game. So you want to focus more on things that apply to the game that they're going to be playing at. Passing and cutting is a great drill. They got to be able to do that. They got to be able to create space. I have so many kids that freeze up when they can play, but they say whenever I get the ball and they run at me, I just don't know how to deal with it. So teaching them that is a skill. Teaching them to understand how to deal with that. And it's weird because, that's not something I ever faced, but it's a thing. So, I get asked a lot, like, well, what separates your program from the other trainers and stuff? Look, first of all, I've never sat and watched anybody else train simply because I've always been so busy training myself. So I've never went in and sat to see somebody else train. I only know what the kids tell me and what parents tell me when they've went to them, and it's workouts. Everything that I've heard is they're just workouts. They do all these dribbling moves. They make these, they do shooting and stuff. I'm not saying it's not good. That's not what I'm saying. So don't hear what I don't say. I like that. I heard somebody say, I think it was Antonio Daniels, said, don't hear what I don't say. Okay, hear what I'm saying. Some are fancy and they appear to be geared just towards the attention grabbing, the shock. Ooh, that looks smooth. That looks nice. I want to go train with that person. But then when you've been with that person for a while, then you start to find out, you ask yourself, like, well, how much better did I get on this? If you're on a team, and whether it's a city league team, travel team, high school team, and you're still making the same mistakes at the end of the year that you were making at the beginning, you got to ask yourself, obviously, how much better are you trying to get? But you should have guidance. That team should be able to help you. If you have a trainer, that trainer should be able to help you to resolve those issues. Now, I can show you, but if you don't spend the time and you don't try to feel the need to try to explore it and try it, that's a you problem. That's going to be a you problem. Now, I'm not saying it to a 6-year-old, obviously, but there have been some kids that I have to talk to and say, look, you got everything you need, and if you don't start trying to do certain things or try it, there's no reason for you to come here. I'm not building practice players. I don't want somebody that looks spectacular in warm-ups or on video. I want somebody that can perform in the games. I want to build kids that can perform in the games. And unfortunately, not everybody is going to be a top-notch kid. A lot of kids are going to be role players, and that's fine. You're part of a team. You're doing something to help the team. It's going to be kids that are practice players. That's fine. So whatever it is, you do it well, but you have to always be ready to explore. So we try our best. No, we don't try. We do. We don't do our best. We do work with kids on skill game level things. Obviously, we build up to it. You just can't come in and have them doing an attack drill. You got to lead up to them, kind of show them what it is that they need to do and go from there. But you're not going to come here and see like an hour of a tennis ball thrown in there, step back, pull up threes for no reason, one-legged spin around threes for no reason. The kind of things that you see some people do, and you have to ask, well, when did they use it? And there's some things that you're going to use that I might say, look, might not use this much, but when you get in this situation, yeah, this is when this will work. But you got to kind of have a feel for that player's game. So if you are out there and you are going to a training or somebody, make sure it's a training and not a workout. And make sure that training organization is addressing your child's needs. There's no reason to be working on, between, behind, spin move, step back with a child that doesn't even know how to catch and shoot or read the defense and attack. Give them the simple things first and then move from there. So that's all I'll say on that. There's more I could go into, but we'll just keep it at that. We believe in doing drills that work on game situation, the skill that you're really going to need, whether it's beginner stuff and it can be advanced techniques, but it's still going to apply to the game. So if you have any questions on that, if you need me to elaborate, just reach out to me in the comment section, as some of you guys and girls do. So I'm going to end it because I got to get ready for my first training. Enjoy this summer. Enjoy this week. Stay cool. It's going to be hot. Really hot. It's not as hot as it is in some other places, but it's going to be hot. So stay cool. Take care of yourself. Hydrated. Eat and all of that stuff. Don't be out there trying to do things that you normally wouldn't do without proper stuff to make sure you make it. You got to make it to my next podcast. Can't have y'all passing out and in the hospital. You're going to miss the next podcast. So with that, I'm going to end it like I always end. And I'm going to say it again. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I'm out.
Street Cred Sports, say it with your chest. Go get it from the net. Street Cred Sports. Okay, that's a bet.